Put the headlights on, I want to see them. Oh, sexy. That's sex, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sexual. It feels beautiful. I don't want to love it too much. Okay, so we're setting off in wet mode. I'm almost flat footing this. Got my big boots on, but in terms of the way it feels, it doesn't feel big at all. That's what she said. Anyway, good morning, Codge Biker here, and I'm in Crewe, which I thought was a railway station in my ignorance. But look at me on my DesertX. As you can probably see, I'm on a Ducati experience day, and of course there were various bikes I would have liked to try, but it had to be one of the bikes. They say never meet your heroes, don't they? This is one of the bikes I've had in my dream garage. So let's get out of here and we'll see how it goes. At the moment I'm in second gear, doing 16 miles an hour. I'm in wet mode, and a little bit of rattle there as I laboured it a little bit, but it didn't complain, just got on with it. Very smooth, oh, very balanced. So I think this bike comes as standard with a quick shifter, but no heated grips. Whether this one's got heated grips or not, I don't know. There is a button there which I've pressed, but I don't think it's got them. Of course, being used to a Honda, I'm going to be pressing the horn instead of indicating, almost certainly at some point. I could do with a little bit of adjustment on the gear lever for my big boots, which I put on just to ensure that I'll be able to reach the ground. I can reach the ground fine. So it's 875mm seat height, but it's quite narrow, and I'm guessing that the suspension is compressing when I sit on it, even though I'm not that heavy. So I'm doing 30 miles an hour in fourth in wet mode, and it's not complaining at all. Let's go into sport mode. I don't know what I've set up there now, but done something. The throttle's so gentle, it caught me out there. I thought I hadn't turned it in wet mode. So very forgiving, very smooth. I'm obviously adjusting things there. I don't know what I'm adjusting. So it's still in wet mode, which I think is sort of 75% of the power. Lovely bike, very smooth. So let's go to sport, which I think is full power. Close the throttle. Okay, concentrate on where I'm going. I'm still using the clutch even though there's no need to. God, it's easy to throw around. Wow. So we're in sport mode, so we've got the full whack now. You know, I believe you can set up each of the 6 modes. You can set up your traction control, ABS, etc., engine braking as you like. Obviously I've got it as it's set up. I don't think I've got any heated grips, so I'm probably on the stock bike, although it has got crash bars on it. So it's the Testa Stretta engine, same as it's in Dr. J's Super Sport. I don't know where Dr. J is. So I've got a full tank of fuel, and it doesn't feel top heavy at all. The screen not adjustable, and I am getting some wind right in my face, so I've got my visor open. It's quite a blustery day, so it's no NT 1100 screen, but it's okay. It's kind of typical for this sort of a bike. I've got a peaked helmet on and there's a bit of noise. The speedo, I love that vertical speedo. That's kind of how I used to set up my 690 Enduro R. I believe you can get a GPS bar if you want one, or you can use the Ducati app. I must admit, I find changing modes a little bit non-intuitive because I'm not used to the Ducati system, but you'd get used to it. It's like everything else. I mean, compared to the NT1100, it looks empty of buttons. Cornering feels really good. I know it's a 21-inch front wheel. Now, three bikes that I'm really interested in at the moment are the Africa Twin Adventure Sports with the electronic suspension, which I've ridden and was very, very impressed with. Handling, particularly the adjustment on the suspension. This, of course, is fully adjustable suspension but manual, so you can't do it on the fly. Oh! Woo! Wow! Yeah, it goes. What's I saying? So it's all fully adjustable, but you know, if you went from motorway to off-road, you'd have to stop and do it manually. Whereas with the Adventure Sports, you could theoretically do it on the fly. Well, you can actually do that, which I was very impressed with. What I do like about this, it's got a steering damper, and just going to go into this corner. I mean, it feels fantastic. I know it's a 21-inch, but it feels like a 19. So whatever they've done to this bike, I think it's quite long. I think they've designed some sort of special front wheel to reduce the weight so that it turns faster in corners, and it's got tubeless wheels with spokes, obviously. Beautifully made, very impressive, just sitting on it. And once again, I hate to say it, if Ducati were building a bike to fit me, oh god, I'm sitting on it. This could be very expensive. Yeah, so it's quite urgent in sport mode. Hold it in again. Let's go to urban, let's go to rally. Close the throttle. Press the button again, close the throttle. Right, I'm now in rally. It's flashing rally. I'm not sure what that does. Still full power. It may have changed the ABS and the traction control, I'm guessing, I don't know. As I'm in a 30-mile-an-hour limit in the countryside, going over a canal, I think we'll do the standing up test. Yep, lovely. There's a canal, lovely canal. It does feel like it's just my size. I was expecting this to feel big, but actually, compared to my NT1100, it feels not a small bike, but smaller, more manageable. And yet the NT1100 is very manageable. So any worries about seat height or coping with its weight, I can pretty much say are gone. I mean, coming to a junction here, going to go left. And a balance, 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 balance. Got to remember to turn my indicator off. These are not automatic indicators like my Honda. Quick shift is very good. God, I'm going to love this thing. I just know it. I mean, the front end of this bike with the headlights, oh, it's just gorgeous. Jesus, God, it goes. Wow, that's beautiful. Fortunately, we're going right in a minute, so I can't throw it around this corner like I would like to have done. It's so balanced, so light. It just feels so light. Now it hasn't got heated grips as far as I could tell. I tried turning them on, nothing's happened. So I would have to have those. Wow, it goes. Quick shift is very good. I mean, going down, you don't know you're doing it. So it's like KTM quick shifter. It's good. Handguards, not brilliant. They've got some metal bits on them, I think, and some plastic. It's got crash protection. Now I did price one of these up last night, or put on the configurator. I added a rear carrier, crash protection and heated grips, and I think the stock bike is about £15,000, so this is expensive, but it's a Ducati, you expect that. But by the time I'd added just a couple of things, it was more like 17,250. Can't remember exactly. That's it's a lot of money, but wow, it's a lot of bike. Now, as most people know, it's possible to get the auxiliary tanks for the back of this, and they look fantastic, but I don't know whether you'd ever use them. I think it's got a 21 litre tank, over 200 mile range in Britain anyway. I can't see the point of those, and I think it would compromise luggage carrying capability if you're going to use this as a touring bike. You could argue this is a adventure tourer with the emphasis on the off-road side of it, although it's a great road bike, I can assure you. Wow. Brakes very good. So quite where you'd put your luggage, I don't know. There will be expensive luggage, no doubt, available for it from Ducati. So I don't think I would buy. I mean, I'd like the tanks just for the looks, but whether I'd have them for practicality, I doubt it. Phenomenally well balanced. I thought the Africa Twin was well balanced, but this is, yeah, it beats it. It feels really light. Now, I know it's got very good front brakes. One of the things I like on a bike, and which the Africa Twin was a little bit weak on, was the rear brake. So if I get a chance, I'm going to give the rear brake a go just on its own, see what happens. Wow! Oh, it's got a proper rear brake. I felt like I could lock the back wheel up there. I'm in rally mode, so I probably could actually, if I wanted to. It's that good. Wow. A bike with a back brake that I like. Right, let's go to sport. I'm going to go back to sport. So we're in sport mode. I'm just going to stay in this mode now. There's no heated grips, so I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to ride the bike. Okay. So obviously these roads are bumpy, but this bike is couldn't care less. There's a bit of fork dive on the front, but that's what you get with tall suspension. I think it's 220 at the front, 230 at the back, or the other way around. The KYB suspension, plenty anyway. So you get a little bit of dive on the front brake, but if you use the back brake with it, use the two together, that minimises it, and that back brake is so good you can do that. Oh, this is a lovely place. So flickable. It doesn't feel much bigger than my 690. That's mad. It's much bigger physically, but it just feels so confidence inspiring. Wow, I mean, I'm sold, to be honest. I wish it had it feels so good in the corner. I wish it had electronic suspension at this price. You know, you're going to be paying 17 grand. It would be nice to have, but you know, I'm chucking that over some real bouncy bits here on purpose, and it is plush. Beautiful. So the Testa Stretta engine is the same as the one that's in Dr. J's bike, but it's tuned differently. I think that it's got a different gearbox with lower first and second gear for off-road, which is what you want. Whether I would ever dare to take this off-road, I don't know. I mean, before I came here, I was just going to say there's no way I'd take this off-road. I'm just going to treat it as a road bike. But to be quite honest, I mean, I honestly feel like I could. That's how it's making me feel at the moment. That says a lot about the bike. Now, wind protection, the wind is hitting the top of my helmet. I'm 5'10" in my boots, 5'9" without them. And I've got a peaked Cholet helmet on, and it's hitting the top of the peak, so it's quite noisy. Doing a reasonable lick, and I'm getting, yeah, on the motorway that would be quite noisy. You'd need a spoiler or a bigger screen, but it, you know, it is I don't want to say Dakar-esque, but the rear brake is fantastic. Honestly, the most impressive thing, everything's impressive, but the most standout feature for me is that rear brake. That's just what I want on a bike. I want a rear brake like that. The 690 Enduro R was quite like that, and I miss it. So we've got a nice seating position, wide handlebars, everything perfect. I can stand up perfect or sit down. I mean, as I say, just like the Africa Twin Adventure Sports, this is a bike that could have been built around me. Maybe they watched the channel. It's a lot more stable pulling up than my NT1100. Doesn't feel wobbly at all. I feel like I could almost not put my feet down. Quick shifter, brilliant. Very impressive quick shifter. As I say, that back brake. So it's a Testa Stretta engine. Is it 937? It's similar to the one in Dr. J's bike. So that means Ducati servicing costs, which I talked to my friend Rob Campbell 01, channel above. He's got the Street Fighter, and he says so far servicing costs are about £100 more than his KTM bikes. Of course, every 18,000 miles or so you've got to have the Desmo service, which I think is about 1,200 quid. So you're going to have some running costs, but not exorbitant. Depends how many miles you do, I suppose. If you get to 18,000 miles quickly, you're going to be spending a lot of money. But for most people, I would imagine that would be a once every 3 or 4 year job. Yeah, as I say, the one thing that the Adventure Sports had over this was that suspension, and that you can change it on the fly. Other than that, I would say or suggest, I think this is a better bike. Oh God, it's so hard to say, isn't it? You can tell you're riding a V-twin. You know, the vibes are there. There's a bit of heat on my right boot, I noticed, but it's not excessive. I haven't found anything in the handlebars yet. Apparently the handlebars are supposed to be rubber mounted, so there's no issues there. No vibes through my feet, just a bit through the seat. You know you're on a V-twin. I say, a bit of heat on my right boot, definitely noticing that. Which on a day like today, although this is June, it's not particularly warm, so it's quite welcome. If I was going across a desert though, as it's called DesertX, that might be more annoying. As I say, with my big boots on, I definitely need to adjust that gear lever a little bit, having to gouge in with my foot to adjust it. Oh, what a bike. I love this bike. It's phenomenal. I know I said exactly the same about the Africa Twin, and it's true. You know, in an ideal world I'd just have both. In this real world I probably have neither. I do have one more bike to try this year, and I'm desperate to try it. There were 3 bikes at the beginning of the year I wanted to try. One was the Africa Twin electronic suspension, phenomenal. Second one is the DesertX, phenomenal. I'm not interested in the rally, this is the one for me. It's phenomenal. And one more bike which is totally different, which I expect to be a totally different experience. but if I can pull it off, it will appear in my test rides at some point, hopefully, fingers crossed. So down points. It's expensive, there's no getting away from it. If you spec this as the Africa Twin Adventure Sports, you pay a lot more money, and you actually can't spec it the same because you can't put the electronic suspension on it. There's no heated grips, for instance. The wind is quite noisy on this helmet, and I am wearing a peaked helmet and I'm not particularly tall. I rode here on my NT1100 on the same gear and was fine. This one noisy above around legal motorway speeds, shall we say. The seat's a bit thin, but it's comfortable enough for me. That's it. I've got nothing. Those front indicators, yeah, I don't like them particularly. Are they bulbs? I don't know if they're bulbs or LEDs. I think you can buy some higher spec ones, so you probably spec them as well. So you know, I'd probably be looking at £18,000 by the time I'd finished. So it's a lot of money. But when I park the bike up and I look back at those twin headlights, oh, the world's so cruel. So many wonderful things. I even like the white tank. I mean, you could always put decals on it. I think there's all sorts come out for it now, so you could treat it as a blank canvas, but I don't mind it. I quite like it as it is. I think it's an aluminium tank. I think there have been some people who have had concerns about it denting easily, and I think also there's an issue with breather pipes getting blocked. I think you have to take the tank off to do the air filter, which is a bit of a nuisance. Maybe some people have trapped the pipes. I don't know. I'm only guessing, putting the tank back on. You know, for a dirt bike, I mean, it's called the DesertX. To have the air filter underneath the fuel tank seems a little bit of an odd decision, but I think it's dictated by the V-twin engine. Oh, you know, there's always compromises. But look at this. Wow, cornering's brilliant. I know the off-road is brilliant. I know it is. I don't have to take it off-road. I can tell. Apparently they developed it 80% off-road, but I mean, look, I'm pulling up. I can stop without putting my feet down. That's how well balanced it is. Into the corner, fantastic. Woohoo! Oh, what a bike! What a bike! Oh, you're getting the Codger bike a seal of approval. If that's worth anything. Oh God, I don't want to become a Ducatista. Yeah, that's another negative. You'd have to become a Ducatista. I'm not worthy or prepared for that. I'm a Honda fanboy. It's a price I'd be prepared to pay though. That throttle's lovely. I think what it is, it's just so smooth, and even though I'm in sport mode, and rally was smooth, it's just such a smooth throttle that I'm not used to it. Look at this. Whee, well balanced, no hands, fantastic. Rear brake. Oh. Of course, we've got those lovely twin headlights, which I can't show you while I'm riding. Oh, sexy. That's sex, that, isn't it? Even the sort of low-end agricultural nature of the engine just fits with what you want on an off-road bike. It's sort of the torque at the bottom end. Now, the torque on this is 92, I think, newton meters. The Africa Twin was 100, but the horsepower top end is 110, 120, something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I'll put it up if I can find out. So you get a little less torque and a little more horsepower, but it's around my 100. I think I like to be 100 horsepower, 100 newton meters of torque on an ideal bike. So this and the Africa Twin both around that, and I think the way this delivers the power is better though. Off that, throw it around. It's a really chuckable bike as well. It doesn't feel like, as I say, it definitely doesn't feel like a 21-inch front wheel. It feels like a 19. All in, all in. It'll definitely wheelie as well. Oh yes, absolutely no doubt about that. I think we've got automatic lights. I think they're on. So if I was in front, I'd probably be looking at those two orbs, two beautiful orbs floating along the ground. This looks as good as it rides, not the other way around, because it rides superb. And it's got the looks to go with it. I know some people don't like the back end, they think it's a bit of an afterthought, but I think it needs some sort of luggage or racks or carrier or fuel tanks, and then that would complete the sort of look of it. And you've got to have some practicality if you're going to go touring on it. So in conclusion, as we arrive back, it's absolutely brilliant bike. Really is. Is it better than the Africa Twin? Adventure Sports electronic suspension? I don't know. Honestly, couldn't say. If I'm ever in the position where I've got to genuinely choose between them, I think I'd arrange a test ride of both of them on the same day and pick from there. But today, as I'm sitting on it, even with manual suspension, which, let's face it, is less to go wrong anyway, the X just has it. The X has it. The X has it. Then again, I love that Africa Twin. No, I'd have to ride both again, but it's up there. It's up there. So on that indecisive note, maybe the third bike in the series will sway me. We'll see. I'll try and get that booked in the next month or two. I'm not telling you what it is, and if you know me, you'll know. If you don't, you'd never guess. On that note, Codge Biker in a trail of Ducatistas is out. Going back. What a lovely morning. Everything's just so solid on this as well. Quality, you feel the quality. Never mind the width, it's quite narrow. Feel the quality, it's beautiful. Even the mirrors, I didn't like the look of them, but they're kinked back on themselves with a bit of design, so they're okay.